doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're live.
You
We're
know what I was
live.
thinking about today?
We're live again, by the way.
Oh, okay.
You know what I was thinking about today? I was thinking about, do you think Lorne has ever seen the ocean? I think he has, but how often does he go to the beach? He's got such a beautiful, lovely coastline up there.
Well, he's a good couple hours from the coast, and I don't think he goes to the beach ever. Share your screen, Andrew.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay. You want me to keep going?
Why not?
Okay. I'm never going to let anything happen to the two of you. He gave her a kiss before he fell asleep. A few hours later, Andrew awoke Vernon and had him stand guard so that he could get some sleep. Vernon watched the fire and kept guard for the next 3 hours, then woke up Samuel to keep guard. I need to go to the bathroom before I lay back down, Vernon exclaimed. Take the flashlight with you and the flare gun, replied Samuel. Vernon grabbed the flashlight and the flare gun and went off into the woods to relieve his discomfort. Samuel kept
He's
track of the amount of time.
left off into the woods to relieve his discomfort. Sounds like he went off to the woods to masturbate.
Oh, maybe he did. Samuel kept track of the amount of time that he was gone. After 15 minutes, Samuel started getting worried, but knew that he couldn't leave the fire to go look for him. Just then, he saw the flashlight about 25 feet away, bouncing to and fro. All of a sudden, Samuel saw the flashlight fly about 20 feet in the air and fall to the ground with a heavy thud right after it. All Samuel could do was stare. He couldn't scream because he'd wake everyone up and cause a panic, and he couldn't go to where Vernon lay, or he would end up being the next victim. All he could do is sit there and keep the fire going until daylight arrived.
Wait a minute. Is this some kind of a, where did the theory come from that this creature wouldn't go near a fire?
That's what I said. That's what I was wondering. Well, how do they know it's not going to go near the fire? They don't know that.
Well, they think it's an animal, don't they? They think it's like a wolf or whatever, and so they just assume. I was thinking that maybe they think that animals are scared of fire, which of course they are, but not to the degree that they won't go near it. They'll go near it, sense the heat, and then keep away. You know, they're not gonna. Animals have senses. They're not just gonna jump into fires.
No, but if they're
Yeah,
hungry
well,
enough and they are
yeah,
determined,
they'll come near you. I mean,
yeah.
his whole survival strategy here is based on that theory, they'll be safe around a fire. His whole survival theory, that is, they wouldn't want, uh, instead of going down a mountain, they still stay in front of a fire. Uh, he's hanging his whole hat on that one theory, and I'm just wondering what made him believe that. I mean, a bear will come in and get you. It doesn't matter. They'll get you in your tent.
He, so I'm confused. Andrew is 25 feet away from him. He's just 25 feet away from him. And he saw him laying there in the snow, like he was thrown up into the air and then dropped back
And he
down.
can't help him.
And he cannot leave the fire or scream because he'll wake everyone up and cause a panic. Their friend is dead or injured and needs help 25 feet away. And he
No
can't go
shit.
help him?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know?
Well, this is Lawrence cowardice, right? If you think about it,
Well,
I'll stay to protect the women. I'll get it first.
I'm struggling with this book for a number of reasons. It's exactly what you said, Shim, before we came on air. Is we're struggling to how to approach it as a, we're reading it, we're kind of we're pointing out how stupid it is, but it kind of seems pointless doing that because of course it's stupid. It's like literally getting a very first story written by a 5-year-old and then complaining that there's plot holes. Like the first
That's right.
thing of narrative, the first work of fiction that a child comes out with at junior school. It seems kind of pointless, but and also, like I said, we have to give that little bit of we have to understand that he's not reread this, but you could also say that even coming out with this as a first kind of draft is ridiculous. I mean, the thing is, it's not. if you was going to write a story, it's like you'd write an outline first, wouldn't you? You'd write a story outline and then develop a script. Oh, sorry, develop a novel. But he hasn't done that, has he?
No, absolutely not.
I think this is just something that, he's
He was
so
just
bored.
bored one day.
He's got to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
bored.
I think he just wrote it. He just decided to write something. He probably wrote a bunch of different things he didn't finish.
Yeah, probably.
So interesting in a way because of the way Lorne thinks, and it's ridiculous, but I don't know. It's bizarre. It's obviously very, very different than doing Taken Abroad. With Taken Abroad, as I mentioned earlier, we have the right to take the piss out of it. It's a novel. He had the audacity to write a dedication section and what other shit did he write on the back of it? There was a dedication section, like a preface, and what was the other one? Dedicate donations. Was there a donation section or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
And he had the he had the cheek, shall we say, to say, give money to wounded warriors or something, because
He was going to donate half of the profit to Wounded Warrior Project because he's a hero.
And wasn't it a fire department too or something? Local fire department? I don't remember.
I don't.
It doesn't matter. We're talking about Zero anyway, right? OK Sing to me said it perfectly what I was trying to say before about Samuel's response in this crisis. This speaks to Lorne's natural instinct to freeze during fight or flight moments.
Yeah, interesting.
Perfectly said.
Yeah. It's just, it's harder to do this than Taken Abroad. Taken Abroad was very easy, and like I've said, it was a finished book. He'd had all the time in the world to go over it. So all of the silly plot holes, we had the right to, rip into. With this, it's a little different. We can obviously point to the silliness of it because it is silly. It's like, where did you think you were going to go with this, dude? But I'd love to know how much time did he spend doing it? How much thought did he put into it? I mean, obviously fucking nil, but we're just gonna have to be. We're gonna have to start of maybe be a little bit less critical on the ridiculousness. But you can't, can you? Because you're reading it, and we're trying to make sense of it, but you can't, can you?
I think the best thing to do is to see what it says about Lorne. I mean, it's so easy. Like I said to a man, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. You can criticize this thing till the cows come home.
Exactly.
But I think the better exercise is to find out more about Lorne through his writing and what this says about him, the author, greatest author of all times.
We don't know if he wrote this after Taken Abroad or before, do we?
I don't know that.
Because that's kind of interesting. Because I'm thinking, because what it could be is he wrote this, and then he thought, oh, that didn't go anywhere. That story was shit. And then he wrote Taken Abroad, so that was like the new and improved version. For some reason, I had it in my head that this was written after. I think that's just because I was putting it into order in my mind because we never really heard about this before.
Wasn't Taken Abroad finished when he got out of prison?
Yeah.
But as I understand it, wrote when he was in there.
Right. He wrote most of it while he was in there, but then he finished it when he got home, I believe. He said his mother.
At the urging of his mother.
Right. His mother urged him to do it. I mean, they could have been written kind of like simultaneously. He could have, worked because they're quite similar in their, a boy meets a girl, they fall in love, they get married, they have a baby, and then, whatever crazy stuff happens.
Yeah. I think that maybe, you're writing about somebody going crazy and killing people. It's pretty easy to think of a plot and a kind of narrative. But if you're going to go into some kind of creature that doesn't seem, that doesn't make any sense, it's harder, isn't it? Because you've got to fit fantasy into fiction and make it believable. If you get what I mean, and maybe that's what I'm just theorizing as to why he didn't finish it, because he said he got stuck, didn't he?
A group of teens is terrorized by a scary thing, and then you write about how they all get killed except for your main characters, and your main character saves the day, and that's it.
It's one of the highlights of the chat log.
Yep, we're fine now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should maybe if we do stream next week, we'll give this a break and go back to the chat log. I think because I kind of miss it. I think it's been quite a long time since we've done that.
Yeah.
And this is kind of difficult because it's difficult to read. It's not easy to follow because obviously it doesn't make any sense, and we don't know how to approach it. We're judging it as an actual story because it is a story, and it's kind of pointless to do that. So we'll give it a break, and we will do it though. We'll definitely finish it.
Those are good reasons.
Huh?
Yeah. Well, at some point, if we don't, we should at least make it available to the public somehow.
No,
so
I think we will finish it.
They can look at it.
I think we should. Okay. We'll just maybe go through it a bit quicker and not spend the same amount of time on it with Taken Abroad, because we wanted to go through it chapter by chapter, didn't we? But with this, maybe what we'll do is we'll start it when we've got it all, and then we'll just get through it as quick as we can.
Well, this is shorter. I think for Lorne to read the whole thing, it was like 2 hours, 2 to 2.5 hours.
Right.
Oh, how many chapters is it broken down into so far that you have?
3. I don't know how many there are.
That's
though.
it.
Yeah.
And we're on 3, right? So we're almost finished, right?
Oh, no. I don't know how. No, we're not finished yet. No, I don't know. I've only done 3 chapters. I don't know how many there are. Maybe.
Oh, there's a lot more behind it. Okay, sorry. We got to put you through that again.
Yeah, well, that's why it would make sense to give it a break, because we've got to catch up, and Amanda James has got to go through that ordeal of transcribing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do that. Yeah. So I apologise. We're gonna have to. We'll make a break and run into the mountains now, guys. So thanks for staying with us. Internet outage, and I apologise for nobody for having to pop at me, actually, because it must get frustrating. You're like, there goes another one. I suppose you're kind of used to it by now, in a way. But yeah, if we do a stream next week, I think we'll go back to the chat log, because we have fun with that, don't we, guys?
It's his best literature. I told you. It's his best writing.
It is. I've not been over it in a while, and you get lost in the phone calls and the catfishing, learn all the silly intricacies of his personality and silliness. That's why I like it. And do you know what I like as well about the chat log is how you slip back into Lorne mode when he thought Kayla was real. I love that aspect of it. The fact that Lorne had this conceptualized girl. He had this girl, of the character of Kayla, in his mind. So I suppose what I'm saying is, when we read it, it's like Kayla's real. So Kayla's a real person at that point. Do you follow me?
Yeah. Well, yeah, to him, she was. I mean, that was his perception at the time, right? It's a frozen moment in time, with Lorne believing that he's talking to an actual woman. And the other thing that makes it better than his other literature is the other literature is written for the public, for the world to see, right? So he's got, he's got to put some
Filter.
shine on it and maybe some virtue signaling or whatever. But this is just meant for no one else to see but Kayla.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I love that. Audience of one.
And it ended up being an audience of thousands, ironically. But the thing that he did
It's
want
the
people to
most
see,
popular piece of
the
literature.
thing that he did want people to see taken abroad, nobody could.
Imagine that.
It's so. I love. I know we mention it. It's. I'd love to do a stream just on what Lorne's perception of the internet is. I was listening to one of those calls, and he was talking to that Amy Jamie, and he was going, "I told you to stay off the internet. You mean it's like."
Yeah, I know.
But
you got pregnant?
He thinks that the internet is simply used for like harassing women or harassing men, or it can only be used for evil dating purposes.
Yeah, thanks to all like chat rooms, like back when he was chatting with Kayla, and it's chat rooms and where people go to talk shit about him. That's the entire internet.
Right.
If he learned that you could pay your electricity bill online, he would somehow think that your electricity bill was trying to like sexually abuse somebody or something. He'd be like, "Don't you be pinning that? I know what that internet is like."
Like when Ramona she said she was watching Forensic Files all night. He couldn't understand that she could be like on Netflix on her laptop or her phone or whatever watching TV. She was on the internet, which meant she was talking to other guys. You remember that call when he's crying saying, "I don't understand the internet. I don't understand it."
Caused me a world of hurt.
Yes.
I do remember the bit where it must have been when he was talking to Ramona. I was like, "I fucking hate the internet." What he means is the internet keeps outsmarting him. Oh dear. Oh, it's so funny.
But
Anyway.
when it came along, it was God's gift to him when it came along.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now
Exactly
it turned on him.
right. He only hates it because he keeps getting caught.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus. Anyway. So, if all goes according to plan, maybe next weekend, depending on when Shin's putting his sexy umpire pants on and me navigating my hollow life, I will hopefully do the chat log, which will be good fun. So maybe next Sunday. I'm busy Saturday. You got games on next weekend, dude?
Not so far. So I'm okay.
Okay. Well,
if you want to play, if you pick a specific day, I'll try to block it out.
Sunday.
Sometimes it's up to you too. You don't know whether you're working on Saturday or Sunday. So
yeah. We'll figure something out. Anyway, thank you for bearing with us, guys. I'm sorry that it's not as coherent as what the Taking Abroad were, but I'm sure you understand it's kind of difficult for us to do this. We're not reviewing a real book. And it's in the title. It's unfinished.
We've reached our capacity.
Yeah.
This it's too overwhelming.
Yeah, it's as good as we're going to get this, but we're definitely going to finish it. I think we've got to. But anyway, do you guys, Amanda James, do you think it's worth carrying on with this thing?
Yeah, I do. The rest of this chapter is very boring. Honestly, we could probably just skip it. From what I remember,
even in the middle of the murders.
Yeah, it's mostly just Samuel for the rest of the chapter, if I remember correctly, because it was killing me to listen to it and have to transcribe it. It's just a repetitive description of Samuel being watched and getting firewood, and it was a whole bunch of nothing. So, but I don't know, I'll have to see to start start it up again and see if we
Yeah,
get some.
Andrew, I like to finish what I start too. So I mean, we got to finish it at some point.
There's more parts that are worth. You see Samuel's
Really.
attitude toward his pregnant girlfriend, and it's an interesting look into what Lorne wants to project to people, that he's this protector of women and children. And even as in this character, as a young boy, he suddenly becomes like a survivalist expert out of nowhere in order to keep the women folk safe from the creature. It's tough, but it's interesting, I think.
Yeah, I think we should definitely do it. Definitely. But we'll have a break next weekend. If we stream, we'll do the chat log. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for bearing with me through my usual technical mishaps. And thank you very much to Shin and Amanda James for suffering with me. We have all suffered for our art, as they say. This isn't art, but it's Lorne's art, isn't it? We've suffered through Lorne's art, is probably the better way of putting it. So enjoy the rest of your week.